The story begins with our male lead, a young man named Lin, arriving at his part-time job. His close friends, the ever-energetic Tao and the more reserved Ming, immediately rush over to share a piece of exciting news. They inform him that a new transfer student is scheduled to join their class for a brief period, a temporary addition to their familiar school dynamic. Unbeknownst to them, this new student's arrival will set in motion a series of events that will unravel years of buried memories and unresolved childhood feelings. In a parallel narrative, we meet our female lead, Tong Zai. Her life is suddenly uprooted when her mother receives a professional transfer back to their original hometown. Despite her own plans and desires, Tong Zai is compelled to accompany her mother, leaving behind her current life and an eagerly anticipated event she was supposed to attend with her seniors. A deep-seated reluctance colors her move, fueled by the knowledge that she is returning to a place shadowed by a childhood acquaintance she has no wish to ever see again, the very same Lin. Their past is tangibly represented by the childhood photos they still possess of one another, though Tong Zai's resentment is so potent she refuses to even look at his image, having built him up in her mind as a figure of misfortune. Upon reaching her old hometown, a spark of her former spirit ignites within Tong Zai. She is determined not to let this relocation completely derail her life, especially the chance to meet someone very important to her. She hatches a full-fledged plan to sneak away to the city event she had been forced to abandon. Coincidentally, Lin himself has also booked tickets for the very same event. The day after her arrival, as Tong Zai and her mother are traveling to their new home, her father warmly welcomes them, a comforting presence in the midst of her turmoil. Following morning, Tong Zai wakes with a singular purpose. She waits with bated breath for her mother to depart for work, and the moment the house is clear, she leaves a carefully penned note of explanation and makes her escape. Hailing a taxi with a sense of triumphant urgency, her victory is short-lived. In a flash, another figure swiftly enters the cab, commandeering it right from under her. Fuming with indignation, she shouts at the retreating vehicle, "You thief, who does something so underhanded? If I ever get my hands on him, he'll regret it." Her journey to the airport continues, but fate seems to have a twisted sense of humor. In her haste, she collides with a young man, grabbing onto his arm to steady herself. When she looks up, her blood runs cold. Standing before her is none other than Lin, the unlucky kid from her childhood she had so desperately wanted to avoid. The collision triggers a vivid flashback. She sees herself as a young girl, fiercely defending a quiet boy from bullies, even boldly proclaiming to her tormentors, "Lin is my fiancé, we are going to get married when we grow up." The memory is a stark contrast to her present animosity. In the chaotic rush of the present, a book slips from Tong Zai's grasp. Lin retrieves it for her, and in that simple act he makes a startling discovery. The book is a comic, and not just any comic, it is one created by his own secret identity, the renowned artist Chin Hai. He realizes that not only does Tong Zai admire his work, but she is also traveling to the city for his fan event. A wave of secret happiness washes over him. Later, in another crowded area, Lin, seeing Tong Zai about to be jostled by a passerby, instinctively pulls her close to protect her. However, Tong Zai, operating under her deep-seated misunderstanding of his character, misinterprets his gesture entirely. She shoves him away with surprising force, causing him to lose his balance and fall, resulting in a fractured foot. The aftermath finds them both in the hospital, their flights missed and their plans in ruins. Dejectedly, Tong Zai calls her seniors to inform them she will not be attending, while Lin does the same with his friends. As she sits in frustration, she glares at Lin, thinking to herself, what an inauspicious moment it was when I met him again. Later, while unpacking her belongings, she discovers the old childhood photo of Lin she had kept. In a fit of pique, she declares aloud, "I wish I never have to lay eyes on him again after today." The next day marks Tong Zai's inaugural arrival at her new school. On her way, destiny intervenes once more as she encounters Lin, who asks for her assistance in standing due to his injury. Seizing the opportunity to voice her disdain, Tong Zai chastises him, "I never imagined you would grow up to be such a troublemaker, getting yourself injured from brawling." However, her judgment is quickly challenged when she witnesses Lin tenderly saving a stray cat, an act of quiet kindness that softens her expression for a fleeting moment. She roughly applies a bandage to a small cut on his face, a gesture that feels more like a slap, and then marches off. Watching her retreat, Lin smiles to himself, a private thought crossing his mind. This girl, she still hasn't changed a bit. A uniform issue forces Tong Zai to wear her previous school's attire, leading to her being stopped by a vigilant security guard. To her surprise, her new classmates rally to her defense, speaking up on her behalf. This collective support makes her feel unexpectedly fortunate. The teachers, too, sing her praises, remarking, "A brilliant student like you has transferred to our school for the first time." Hearing this adulation, Tong Zai makes a calculated decision. "Now I will act nice in front of everyone." After all, no one here knows my villainous side. Meanwhile, Lin, due to his injury, heads straight to his part-time job instead of school. During her first class, the teachers formally introduce Tongzai. Many students eagerly offer her a seat beside them, but she deliberately chooses the spot next to the friendly Tao. The boys in class, captivated by the new student, pester Ming to get Tongzai's contact number from his friend Tao. When Ming asks, Tao approaches Tongzai, who politely but firmly refuses. After classes conclude, Tongzai goes to the dance practice room, only to discover that Qin Hai, the artist she admires, did not appear at the event she had tried to attend. On her way home that evening, her gaze falls upon a familiar house from her childhood. Drawn by nostalgia, she enters the yard and begins to swing on the old swing, lost in memories. The following day at school, Lin is taken aback to see Tongzai seated in his classroom. Is she my classmate now? He wonders aloud. His friends immediately begin extolling her virtues. She's so lovely and kind, they gush. But Lin, privy to Tongzai's true, more tempestuous nature, can only laugh quietly to himself. He recalls vivid memories of her as a fearless child, always climbing to high places while he could only watch from below, a mixture of worry and admiration in his young heart. Tongzai is equally shocked to see Lin. What is he doing here? She thinks in a panic, followed by a more urgent worry. I hope he doesn't reveal my reality to everyone. Later, she is engrossed in reading a Qin Hai comic when a teacher approaches. Startled, she tosses the book aside. Tao notices it and asks with excitement, do you like Qin Hai's comics too? Trying to maintain her new, perfect persona, Tongzai quickly denies it, no. After school, Tao, eager to bond with the new girl, takes Tongzai to a charming spot known as Sister Meow's Cafe. This is the best place, Tao explains. They have all of Qin Hai's editions here and they get the new ones too. As they browse, Lin spots Tongzai sketching and offers to buy her drawing, but she refuses curtly. It is here that Tongzai makes another discovery. Lin works at this very cafe. Their other friends soon arrive, greeting Lin warmly. In the ensuing conversation, Lin casually mentions to the group, Tongzai is actually from this town, you know, I've known her for years. This revelation sends a wave of shock through their friends. Once everyone has left, Tongzai confronts Lin, her anger flaring. Why did you have to tell them everything about me? The next day in class, the teacher announces a contest and asks for participants. Lin, knowing full well that Tongzai cannot draw, a stark contrast to the talented image she is trying to project, suggests to the teacher, perhaps Tongzai should decorate the contest board. Tongzai is mortified and furious. What was the need for him to say that? This leads to a heated argument between them later. After school, a small victory arrives for Tongzai when she sees that Qin Hai has finally read the many messages she had sent him online, filling her with elation. Unbeknownst to her, in a private and playful moment, Lin saves her contact number in his phone under the name Girlfriend. In a subsequent scene, a senior invites the kind-hearted Tao to a party. That night, Tao messages both Lin and Tongzai, offering, if you need my help with anything, I am ready to do it. While Tongzai proudly declines, stating, no, I will do it myself, Lin is found looking at a gift he had made for Tongzai in their childhood, a sentimental token from a simpler time. The following day, the teacher notices the still blank contest board and questions Tongzai. Why haven't you started anything yet? With feigned confidence, Tongzai assures her, don't worry, I will get everything ready tonight. Meanwhile, Tao, hopping to impress the senior, asks Ming what kind of gifts boys typically like. When Ming proves unhelpful, Tao decides to use her own judgment. That evening, Lin seeks out Tongzai at school. She's on the phone with a classmate and is startled by his sudden appearance. Her friends, hearing a male voice in the background, eagerly ask who she is with. In her flustered state, Tongzai ends up telling them about Lin. Simultaneously, Tao arrives at the senior's party and presents her homemade food as a gift. His friends cruelly mock her, sneering, is this even a gift? Ming watches the scene unfold from a distance, his expression darkening. When the senior rejects Tao's gift, she turns to leave, heartbroken. Ming intercepts her, takes the container of food and begins eating it. Noticing a small injury on her hand from cooking, he asks with a mixture of concern and frustration, what was the need for you to go through all this trouble? In another conversation, Lin deliberately begins to draw comparisons between himself and the charming prince from Tongzai's childhood stories. However, Tongzai, still idolizing the anonymous Qin Hai, heaps praise on the artist right in front of Lin, declaring, what comparison could there possibly be between you and Qin Hai? To her immense surprise, Lin merely smiles at this remark, a reaction she finds deeply confusing. The next morning at school, the decorated board is met with widespread admiration. The painting is a masterpiece, but what no one knows is that Lin is the one who secretly created it under cover of darkness. Tongzai wins the contest and receives all the accolades, a hollow victory that weighs on her conscience. After class, Lin confronts her. I have helped you so much. It's only right that you repay me. You will have to be my maid for 1 week. Why only a maid? Tongzai retorts defiantly. You could have asked for something else. Later, the group of friends gathers at the cafe. Seeing Tao's subdued mood, they inquire about the reason for her sadness. Ming reluctantly shares the story of what happened at the party. Overwhelmed with emotion, Tao confesses, "Why am I not perfect like Tongzai? If I were like that, he would have liked me." Tongzai longs to tell her the truth, to say, "Nobody is perfect. I am not at all who you think I am," but the words stick in her throat, trapped by the flawless facade she has constructed. As days pass, Lin takes full advantage of his maid service, playfully teasing Tongzai in class and asking her to fetch him a drink. To avoid suspicion, Tongzai cleverly brings drinks for everyone. When Lin asks her to open his bottle, she hands him her own instead. In the ensuing exchange, their hands touch, causing Lin to fumble and spill the drink all over his shirt. "Wash my shirt," he instructs her, leaving her fuming. Both of them, it turns out, nurture a mint plant, a small, parallel symbol of their connection. That night, Tongzai, as is her habit, sends a message to Chin Hai before falling asleep. In class one day, Tao cautiously probes Tongzai about her feelings. "Don't you like Lin by any chance?" "No, not at all," Tongzai replies a little too quickly. "Good," Tao says with relief. "Otherwise, you should know the whole class is very possessive of Lin." The class monitor, a girl named Shio, introduces herself to the new transfer student and then presents a gift to Lin. Watching this interaction, Tongzai feels an unexpected and unwelcome twinge of jealousy. Observant as ever, Tao and Ming become convinced that Tongzai and Lin harbor feelings for one another, and they silently resolve to prevent the class monitor from coming between them. A poignant flashback reveals the source of Tongzai's lingering resentment. When she was originally leaving her hometown with her mother as a child, she had desperately wanted to say goodbye to Lin, but he never came. She had even sent him numerous love letters, but upon receiving no response, her childhood affection curdled into a deep-seated hatred. In the present, overwhelmed by these resurfaced memories, Tongzai unearths the childhood photo of Lin she had kept and buries it in the ground, declaring, "Neither will this photo exist, nor will I have any childhood memories." The narrative progresses as Shio informs the class about an upcoming sports day and requests ideas for the opening ceremony. Ming suggests that Tongzai perform a ballet dance, an idea the monitor immediately opposes, not wanting Tongzai to have the spotlight. Lin proposes a vote, and to the monitor's chagrin, the class unanimously supports Tongzai's participation. Later, Tao confides in Tongzai, "I don't like the monitor because she's so dishonest." This makes Tongzai anxious. What will happen when Tao finds out that I'm not perfect in anything either? She then devises a plan to involve everyone, and the next day, she invites the entire class to participate in a group dance performance. The idea is a hit, and students eagerly sign up. A personal blow lands when Tongzai learns that the senior she admired has been spending time with another girl. The news upsets her deeply. Lin, overhearing this, moves closer and asks with quiet intensity, "What's this about the senior?" Their proximity is unfortunately noticed by one of Shio's friends. Tao, seeing Tongzai's distress, asks what is wrong, but Tongzai brushes it off. When Tongzai begins teaching the dance steps in a simplified manner, Shio deliberately causes a scene, complaining that her intended partner isn't present and then intentionally stepping on her current partner's foot to force him to quit, all under Tongzai's watchful eye. Shio then goes to the cafe to appeal to Lin directly. "My dance partner is injured. What if you become my partner?" she pleads. Lin refuses, stating simply, "Tongzai forbade me from participating, so I can't." Later, Lin calls Tongzai and asks, "Can I be included in the dance team now?" But Tongzai, still stubborn, refuses again. The next day at school, when Tongzai's morale sags during a difficult practice, Lin is there to encourage her, a sight that fuels Shio's jealousy. Despite their efforts, the practice does not go well, worrying Tongzai. In a surprising move, Lin records a video of their practice and sends it to his father, asking for help. His father in turn sends Tongzai's mother. That evening, her mother questions her about skipping dance classes and then decides to teach her some easier steps herself. Meanwhile, Lin secretly practices dancing by watching videos at the cafe, hoping that Tongzai might eventually call him for help. Unable to find another partner, Tongzai finally swallows her pride and calls Lin. "Be ready, I am coming to your house to practice," she announces. Lin sends her his location. Upon arriving, Tongzai remarks, "This place, I've been here before." Hearing her voice, Lin frantically tidies his room, ensuring she finds no clues that would reveal his secret identity as the artist Chin Hai. As Tongzai steps closer to him, her heartbeat quickens unexpectedly. She seizes the moment to ask the question that has haunted her for years. "Why didn't you come to say goodbye to me?" Lin offers no direct answer, instead proposing a deal. "If I can perform the dance well as compensation, you will forgive me, right?" He also adds, "Please don't refuse. Besides me, no one else is here to help you with this new performance." Reluctantly, Tongzai agrees. Lin brings her up to his room but is careful not to let her touch any of his personal belongings. He then makes a request, "Be my model." As he begins to sketch her with a skilled hand, Tongzai, exhausted from the day, dozes off. Lin moves closer to her and gently begins to adjust her hair. The moment is shattered by a phone call reminding Tongzai she is late for her ballet class. That night, Tongzai retrieves the photo of Lin she had buried and, looking at it, finds herself blushing as she recalls their close encounter. On the other side of town, Lin makes a significant decision. He will use Tongzai's likeness for the cover of his next comic book and even considers naming the story Mint. With Lin now part of the team, the dance practices become more cohesive, though Xiao's jealousy continues to simmer. On the day of the sports event, a new crisis emerges. The dance costumes have gone missing. With their performance time approaching and no dresses in sight, Tongzai devises a brilliant solution. She brings out paint and instructs everyone to creatively color their own school uniforms. The resulting performance is a unique and vibrant success, and while dancing, Tongzai experiences a feeling of pure, unadulterated joy she has never felt before. During the award ceremony, Tongzai receives the Best Leader award. In a parallel subplot, a senior offers Tao a role in a drama with him, which she happily accepts. Later, on her father's birthday, Tongzai is at home when she stumbles upon a photo of herself and Lin with her father, carefully preserved. She wonders why his dad kept this photo so safe. Her father asks about her future plans, to which she admits she is undecided. At that very moment, Lin arrives and Tongzai is shocked by his familiar, easy rapport with her father. "I will definitely find out the truth about their relationship," she vows. Her father then reveals the missing piece of the past. "When you left," he explains, "Lin came a little later to ask about you. Since that day we started spending time together. He even moved to our neighborhood soon after." This revelation finally allows Tongzai to understand why Lin never received her letters, and the anger she has held onto for so long finally melts away. Her father takes a new photo of the two of them, a symbolic fresh start. The following day, Lin publicly releases his new comic book titled Mint. When Tongzai sees it, she is stunned. The cover features a girl who looks remarkably like her, and the story within feels hauntingly familiar. How are the book's title and the story related to me, she wonders. At school, her classmates bombard her with questions about the uncanny resemblance. Tongzai dismisses it as coincidence, stating, "Chin Hai doesn't know me and I don't know him." Lin, overhearing this, can only smile secretly. Inspired by a school tradition of writing letters, Tongzai secretly acquires colorful stationery, an act that does not escape Lin's notice. She wrestles with whom to write to, the senior or Lin, and finally decides on the senior. This letter accidentally falls into her mother's possession. The next day at school, Xiao gives Lin a set of colorful pages, a gesture Tongzai observes with displeasure. In a mix-up while organizing books, Lin accidentally places a letter from Tao into Ming's textbook. Xiao, spotting Tongzai writing her letter, takes a surreptitious photo and vows, "I will expose her no matter what." Meanwhile, Tao asks Tongzai if she has seen her letter, unaware that Ming now has it. After reading it, Ming is left confused, wondering why Tao would write such a letter to him. The next day, Xiao attempts to give Lin a letter which he refuses, blaming Tongzai for his rejection. Xiao retaliates by posting the photo of Tongzai's letter to the school group. Lin and Ming see the post, and Ming is shocked by its content. Lin rushes to find Tongzai, who is devastated, fearing her reputation is ruined and dreading her mother's impending meeting with the principal. Lin thinks quickly and assures her, "Promise me you won't become the next school guard. You look good normally." He then contacts the group administrator and has the post deleted. At the cafe, Tongzai finally confesses to Tao, "I am not at all like you guys think I am." Instead of being upset, Tao is happy to discover they share a common fandom, saying, "So you're a fan of Chin Hai just like us." Lin devises a clever plan to resolve the letter scandal, noting that no name was mentioned in the post. He instructs Tao to write a post claiming she was the one who wrote the letter as a joke using the senior's name. Tao follows through, the matter is cleared up, and Tongzai's mother remains none the wiser. At school afterward, Lin gives Tongzai some earnest advice. "You should just show everyone your true self. If there's a problem next time, I won't help at all." Privately, however, Lin is plagued by a different worry. Did Tongzai really write that letter to the senior? He cannot help but feel a sharp pang of jealousy that she chose to write to the senior instead of him. Tongzai, meanwhile, is overjoyed to receive a reply from the senior and learns that he is also from her hometown and will be visiting their school. As this new development unfolds, the second part of Mint is publicly released, deepening the mystery and the connection between Lin's art and Tongzai's life. The tension between Lin and Tong reached a new peak. Frustrated by the flawless facade she maintained for the visiting senior's benefit, Lin confronted her. "When are you going to stop pretending and finally show everyone who you really are?" he demanded, his voice a mixture of concern and irritation. Tong, feeling defensive under his intense gaze, offered a hesitant excuse. With the senior here now, it's just not the right time to say anything, she insisted. But I promise you I will tell them everything later. Her assurance did little to placate him. Feeling dismissed and angered that she continued to prioritize the senior's opinion, Lin turned and walked away without another word. Their plan was set into motion when the senior arrived and messaged Tong. Eager to create a meeting, she and Tao enacted a small deception, with Tao pretending to be ill. Using this excuse, Tong helped her sick friend leave class, a ruse that Lin saw through immediately. Once free, Tong hurriedly got ready and departed. In a misguided attempt to impress the senior, she had been on a strict diet, a decision that backfired spectacularly when she fainted from a combination of excitement and weakness at the very sight of him. Alarmed, the senior rushed her to the hospital and began calling her friends from her phone. Tao, engrossed in drama script practice, didn't check her messages. The next number was Lin's. Upon hearing the news, he abandoned his schoolwork and rushed to the hospital. Just as Lin arrived, Tong regained consciousness. The senior, now concerned with his own schedule, told her, "I really need to get my registration sorted out at the school." Tong, ever accommodating, insisted, "It's okay, don't worry about me, you go and get your work done." The moment the senior departed, Lin entered the room, his expression dark with disapproval. "Where did he go?" he demanded. "How could he leave you here alone like this?" "I sent him away myself," Tong defended, but Lin's anger was not so easily quelled. He was furious at the senior's lack of care. They left the hospital together, and soon after, Lin spotted the senior. A wave of intense jealousy led him to issue a public, competitive challenge. "Play a basketball game with me." A crowd of students gathered, almost all vocally supporting Lin, all except Tong, who cheered for the senior. When Lin soundly defeated him, an upset Tong accused Lin of cheating. Stung by her lack of faith, Lin's anger flared and he stormed off. In a final attempt to salvage the day, Tong took the senior to a local restaurant. However, he looked around with clear distaste, making critical remarks about the place. Listening to his ungrateful words, a slow, disheartening realization dawned on Tong. He was not the person she had imagined. Hopping for one last chance, she invited him to the beach the next day, an invitation he accepted. Later, Tong shared everything with Tao. She also received a message from the artist Chin Hai which brought her joy. Unbeknownst to her, this was Lin. At school, Xiao overheard the beach plans. To get permission, Tong told her mother she was visiting her father. Meanwhile, Xiao visited the cafe where Lin worked, attempting to ingratiate herself. Tong arrived at the beach to find it empty. Her answer came in a call from the senior, who coldly said, "I'm going home, something urgent came up." Xiao informed Lin, who, driven by concern and possessiveness, decided to go. Tong was standing forlornly by the water when Lin arrived. "What are you doing here?" she asked, surprised. In a parallel moment, Tao's hopes were dashed when the senior she liked refused an outing, claiming he had classes, only for her to see him with another girl. Back on the beach, Lin saw how much Tong had changed for the senior's approval. "You are fine just the way you are," he advised gently. "Love yourself first." Heeding his words, they began to enjoy themselves, though Tong still wistfully wished she were with the senior. Nearby, Ming comforted a heartbroken Tao. He mistakenly brought up the love letter he found. "If you liked me, you could have told me," he said. Tao, confused, retorted, "What are you talking about? I sent that to the senior," and stormed off. That evening, Tong chatted with Chin Hai, confiding her troubles. He probed, "From what you've said, it seems you've started liking Lin, haven't you?" Tong quickly denied it. "No, we're just friends." The next day at school, Tong arrived resolved to expose her true self. Her resolve was immediately tested when the teacher asked Xiao to paint. Xiao, seeking to undermine her, nominated Tong instead. She won a reward last time, she should do it. Lin, knowing the truth, offered to paint in her place, but the teacher insisted. Tong will make the painting. The class was stunned when Tong presented a childish drawing. The teacher was reprimanded. Full of remorse, Tong apologized and confessed, "I didn't make the painting last time, someone else did." Xiao accused her of sabotage. Unable to tolerate it, Tong snapped, telling the whole class, "I don't know how to draw, and Tao didn't write that letter I did, I'm not ashamed." Her friends watched with concern. Tao offered quiet support. "If you need to cry, then cry." To everyone's surprise, immense relief washed over Tong. The burden lifted, she felt genuinely happy. Seeing her liberated, her friends felt relieved. At the cafe, Lin checked on her. "Are you really okay?" "Yes, absolutely," Tong replied. "I know Xiao did this deliberately. What enmity could she have with me?" Lin explained, "Before you, Xiao was the most famous girl in school. She must be jealous." That evening, Tong messaged Chin Hai recounting the day. She even confessed, "I started hating Lin because he never replied to my childhood letters, but that misunderstanding is over." Lin was shocked. "Why didn't I know?" His thoughts were interrupted by his editor. "Be ready, we're arranging your signing event soon." The news filled him with dread. How can I tell Tong? The four friends gathered at the cafe. Tong, excited, announced her decision to attend Chin Hai's event, getting permission by lying to her mother. That night, she messaged Chin Hai her plans. The next day, she asked Tao to accompany her, but Tao refused, unable to get permission. She asked Ming, who also declined. This left only Lin, who pointedly avoided a response. Lin traveled to the city with his editor. Tong went with the senior. At the event, Lin wore a mask, then a full costume to observe them unnoticed. When a push from the crowd nearly sent Tong falling, Lin instinctively saved her, getting hurt. Before she could recognize him, he vanished into the crowd. The time came for the artist to appear. Lin took the stage wearing a chicken mask, confusing his fans. Tong got an autograph and a photo, hugging the costume Chin Hai, making Lin smile secretly. A game was announced. The holder of a lucky number could make a request. The senior won and demanded to see Chin Hai's face. Lin showed only him. The senior was stunned to recognize Lin but decided not to tell Tong. After the event, as they were about to leave, Tong went to the washroom. Lin seized the moment to warn the senior alone. "Don't tell Tong about my reality." Tong returned, missing the conversation but anxious. Later, she gave her friends the autographs. That night, encouraged by Tao, Tong admitted the senior's poor behavior. Tao counseled, "Leave the senior and think about Lin." They looked through the event photos. At school, Lin noticed Ming's gaze lingering on Tao and deduced his feelings. Ming, to improve Tao's mood, took her to play basketball. Tao was bewildered. "He used to fight with me. What happened? Has he fallen for me?" Tong went to Lin's house unannounced. Opening the door, she saw scattered pages, the original Mint comic art. "Are you Chin Hai?" she asked, trembling. "Yes," Lin admitted quietly. Before he could explain, Tong, feeling utterly betrayed, fled. At home, she was devastated. "Lin told me to expose my reality while hiding his own. I won't look at him again." At school, she ignored him completely, surprising Tao and Xiao. Her absence from the cafe left Lin despondent. Tao and Ming conspired to reconcile them. Lin sent many messages apologizing, explaining he had no malicious intent, but Tong remained angry. The next day, a cooperative Xiao brought her notes to Tong and Tao, surprising them before taking them to Lin, stirring Tong's jealousy. Lin, noticing, wrote her letters in class. Tong smiled despite herself, though she pretended to scold him. Tao and Tong faked stomach aches to leave class. Ming mimicked this with Lin. Eager to force a conversation, Tao and Ming locked them in a room. In their excitement, Ming dropped the key. Unable to find it, they went for a spare. Alone, Lin apologized sincerely. "I felt good talking to you as just Lin, that's why I didn't tell you. Besides you, even Tao and Ming don't know." His honesty softened her heart and she forgave him. Lin revealed he knew of Ming's plan and suggested they escape through the window, which annoyed Tong before they both got away. As Tao and Ming were outside, the senior taunted Tao. She delivered a sharp retort, which Ming appreciated. Inspired, Lin decided to write a comic about his friendship with Tong, making her smile. With the school year ending, teachers announced summer vacation, filling students with joy. The four friends celebrated at the cafe. While others were excited for vacation, Tong was subdued, obligated to attend intense belly dance classes. Lin planned to work on his next comic chapter. His parents sent food and money, but Lin maintained distance, neither meeting them nor using their support. Meanwhile, the senior persuaded Tao to rejoin the drama club, which she agreed to. Tong found her classes grueling and her mother criticized her weight, adding pressure. Lin, seeking a distraction, baked a cake. Tong's father remarked that any girl who married him would be lucky. He confided that the passion for belly dance belonged to Tong's mother, who had to abandon her dream due to an injury and was now living it through her daughter. Lin, wanting to help, messaged Tong to be ready the next day. She skipped her class and Lin picked her up. The friends went to the park. When the dance teacher called her mother about her absence, Tong found out and became upset. To cheer her, their friends played games. Lin offered perspective. "If your mom is pushing you to fulfill her dream, then try to fulfill it once, but think positively, your worry will lessen." Tong saw his logic. Meanwhile, Tao and Ming hid, hoping to be found, but when Ming learned Tao rejoined the drama club at the senior's request, he became angry. On their way back, Lin and Tong saw them arguing and realized something was wrong. Later, at her father's house, everyone surprised Tong for her birthday, making her happy. However, returning home, she was met with scolding from her mother. The next day at class, the teacher revealed a truth that shamed Tong. "Your mother left her job and moved here just for you to learn from a good instructor." She handed Tong a gift. "Your mother sent this yesterday, but you didn't come." Tong was filled with remorse for her negative thoughts. In a subsequent incident, Tao discovered the senior was using her to get closer to his girlfriend. She confronted him angrily in public. Tong and Lin, hearing the commotion, rushed over. Lin warned the senior to stay away from Tao, and Ming was hurt to learn what happened. Despite the drama, Tong was selected for a dance competition, a personal victory. After a physical altercation, Tao dragged a reluctant Ming to apologize, but the senior responded with insults, provoking Tao to hit him. Lin gave Tong shoes for her competition, but their moment was spoiled by Xiao's arrival, her hatred intensifying. On performance day, Tong was nervous. Lin reassured her. Her father arrived and asked Xiao to wish Tong luck. Instead, Xiao accidentally dropped her purse on the shoes, ruining them. In a panic, Tong wore them anyway, but they were tight. During her performance, she sprained her foot. Refusing to give up, she took off the shoes and finished barefoot, worsening her injury. Lin rushed on stage and carried her in his arms. Tong feared her mother's reaction, but then her father called. Her mother was in the hospital. There, her mother scolded her for getting injured. Overwhelmed, Tong broke down. "You don't care about me at all you care about is your belly dance." She ran out. Her father asked Lin to find her. Tong went to Lin's house where he found her. To console her, he took her to the beach. The next day, Tong decided to leave her mother's house and live with her father. Her mother did not object. Tong quit belly dance. After she left, her mother was consumed by sadness and realized her mistake, deciding to give Tong freedom. At her father's house, the friends enjoyed a carefree time. Then Tong received a message. "Come back home, you don't need belly dance classes." Overjoyed, she returned to a happy reunion. At the cafe with Tao, Tong saw a post from a child who drew pictures to impress Chin Hai. The senior called Lin, asking him to come to the city. Lin invited Tong. At the senior's request, they visited the child in the hospital. On the way home delayed, a tired Tong fell asleep on Lin's shoulder. She woke embarrassed and moved away. At home, Tong and her mother had a better understanding, filling her with contentment. The next day, Lin stood in line to bring Tong her favorite food, making her smile. School announced Community Day and offered allowance forms for those in need. Xiao's father pressured her to get one. The friends decided to go to the beach. Lin saw Xiao taking the form. He knew her family's struggles. Tong saw them together and misunderstood. At the cafe, she questioned Lin, but he remained silent. When Tong saw Xiao with Lin again, her jealousy flared. And she stormed out. Lin, trying to be inclusive, invited Xiao to the beach, irritating Tong further. The next day, Tong couldn't hide her jealousy watching them. Lin tried to talk, but she refused to listen. In the tension, a necklace fell. Xiao saw it. Tong helped an older man who was Xiao's father. Xiao, seeing him, ran away in shame. Lin returned home and realized the necklace was gone, worrying. Tao called Tong to check the group chat where someone exposed Xiao's situation. The next day, a humiliated Xiao confronted Tong. "You were with my dad, you exposed this." Tong denied it, but Xiao, in a rage, stole her necklace and ran away. Lin followed her. He discovered Xiao was behind all Tong's past misfortunes. "Why do you only like Tong?" she complained. Lin told her Tong is different from you. He explained her father was overheard and it wasn't Tong's fault, then retrieved the necklace. Later, Tong saw Lin in the rain and brought an umbrella. He gave her the necklace. At Tong's house, Lin got a call. Xiao had run away. All students searched. Tong suggested, "You call her, she'll pick up." He did, and they found her. Tong and Lin went to Xiao. After a heated confrontation, they reconciled. Xiao was reluctant to go home, but her mother arrived and took her. Soon, an article revealed Lin as Chin Hai, shocking everyone. The senior called them to a restaurant where fans swarmed. Tao was stunned her friend was her idol. Lin's step-parents and father were surprised he hid this. At school, fans mobbed him for autographs. Tong complained, "You don't give me time, you're always busy." Lin smiled, pleased. With Lin occupied, Tong helped at the cafe more. Ming went on a date with Ping, infuriating Tao. The date went awry when Ming ate something he was allergic to and excused himself. Lin's biological mother, who left him in childhood, re-entered his life. She proposed sending him abroad for studies, but Lin left without answering. At the cafe, seeing Tao sad over Ming, Tong encouraged her. "If you like Ming, tell him there's nothing to hide." Just then, a message from Ming arrived and Tao rushed to the hospital. Ming realized Tao was the most important person in his life. The senior offered to help Xiao with studies, an offer she accepted. Tao and Tong saw them getting along, but when Tao saw Ming with Ping again, she left heartbroken. Lin invited his step-parents to a school meeting, worrying them because his biological mother was also attending. Last time, Lin had been furious. In class, Tao advised, "Go welcome your mother-in-law, maybe she'll be happy." When Lin went out, he saw his mother. "What have you come for?" he asked coldly. She came to discuss his transfer. The conversation soured and Lin, angry, walked away with Tong following. She deduced the woman was his mother. Lin's mother got Tong's number and met her. "I know you're Lin's friend, please favor me. If not for work compulsions, I'd never have left him. I've regretted it every day." Tong reflected on her own mother's sacrifices and decided not to judge. Later, she found Lin asleep at his desk, exhausted. When he didn't answer calls, she went to his house and injured her hand. Lin bandaged it, and Tong told him about meeting his mother. From a painting in his room, she saw he still held a place for her. She shared this with Tao and Ming, who felt deep sympathy. Wanting a meaningful gift, Tong made natural paints from herbs for his birthday. Ming confronted the senior, and before a fight, Tao stopped him, protecting Ming. Witnessing this, Ming realized he needed a girl like Tao, not Ping. Lin had dinner with his step-parents and confronted them. "When Mom came to take me, why tell me to go? You could have stopped me." His stepmother replied, "She was your real mother, we're step-parents, it wouldn't have been right." They gave him a box of letters from his mother. Lin showed it to Tong, explaining, "The day you left, my mom came. I was caught in that tension and couldn't say goodbye." Tao taught Ming to ride a bike, finding he already knew, making her smile. Tong and Lin spent a peaceful day. He read his mother's letters and realized she never stopped thinking of him. On Lin's birthday, the school celebrated him. Friends threw a small party. That night, Tong gave him the paints. "I like these very much," he said, making her smile. He painted her portrait. Encouraged, Lin decided to reconcile with his mother. He told Tong, "I've decided to go to my mom." Tong felt sad but supported him. Friends were saddened. Lin said goodbye to his step-parents. Before leaving, he spent time with Tong and gave her the painting. Ming was upset his friend was leaving. Tao consoled him. "Lin won't forget us, he's loyal." Tong and Lin acted playfully, almost getting scolded. Wanting no regrets, Lin confessed his love. On departure day, Tong initially decided not to see him off but changed her mind and got a lift from Ming to the airport, finding Lin waiting. They exchanged letters, promising to open them after one left. Tong kept writing. In the ensuing months, Tao rejoined drama club. Xiao became Tong's friend and her parents reconciled. Tong succeeded in an audition. One night, she saw a light in Lin's room and worried it was a thief. It was Lin, surprising her. Overwhelmed, she ran to him and he held her close. They were accepted to the same university. Ming confessed his love to Tao and they became a couple. The story ends with Tong and Lin happily together at the beach.